She called the Mafia boss about his injured son, and before the blood had frozen into the snow, he dropped everything. Behind a closed Italian restaurant in Philadelphia, Emma Carter found 14-year-old Noah DeLuca barely breathing beneath a fire escape. His coat was torn, his ribs were broken, and clenched inside his fist was the symbol worn by the men sworn to protect him. Emma had no money, no power, and a sick mother waiting at home. But she had Roman DeLuca's private number. What happens next is more than a story about revenge. It is about the terrifying difference between protecting someone and controlling them, and what a ruthless man must sacrifice when love becomes his greatest weakness. Stay until the end, because one phone call will expose a betrayal 20 years in the making, like the video and comment where you are watching from. 12 hours earlier, Emma Carter had no blood on her hands, only a paper cup of cold coffee and a hospital bill she could not pay. She sat beside her mother beneath the fluorescent lights of St. Catherine Medical Center, listening to the heating pipes groan behind the walls. Snow pressed against the windows in soft white sheets, blurring the Philadelphia skyline until the city looked unfinished. Ruth Carter sat wrapped in a gray wool coat that had once belonged to Emma's father. A blue knitted cap covered the hair she had lost during treatment. She wore lipstick because she said sick people were allowed dignity, though the color had slipped slightly beyond the corner of her mouth. Emma noticed, but said nothing. Across the desk, a billing coordinator adjusted her glasses and turned the computer screen toward them. "The infusion itself is covered," the woman said. "The problem is the medication your oncologist prescribed for the side effects." "How much?" Emma asked. The coordinator named a number. Emma looked down at the coffee cup between her hands. The number was higher than the balance in her checking account. Higher than the tips she could earn in several weeks. Higher than the rent notice folded inside her purse. Ruth cleared her throat. "I can manage without it." Emma looked at her. "No, you can't. I managed last month. You spent 3 nights vomiting into a mixing bowl because the bathroom was too far from the couch." The coordinator lowered her eyes. Ruth gave Emma a warning glance. Emma regretted saying it so sharply, but only for a moment. She turned back to the coordinator. "There has to be an assistance program." "There is." "I printed the application." The woman placed a thick packet on the desk. Emma stared at it. She already knew what it contained. Proof of income, proof of residency, tax records, medical records, letters from doctors, bank statements, questions written by people who had never needed to choose between medicine and electricity. "How long does approval take?" Emma asked. "Usually 6 to 8 weeks. My mother needs it now." "I understand." Emma had grown to hate those 2 words. Everyone understood until understanding cost them something. Ruth touched her wrist. "Emma." "No." Her mother's fingers were cold. "Take the papers." Emma took them. She placed the packet inside her purse beside the rent notice and the unopened envelope from the nursing school she had left 3 years earlier. The coordinator wished them a good day. Emma almost laughed. Outside the office, Ruth walked slowly toward the elevator. The chemotherapy had weakened her legs, though she still refused the wheelchair waiting near the door. Emma stayed close enough to catch her without making it obvious. Ruth noticed anyway. "You hover. I walk. You walk like I'm balancing on the edge of a roof. You nearly fell in the kitchen yesterday. I dropped a spoon. You dropped yourself while holding the spoon." The elevator doors opened. Ruth stepped inside and leaned against the railing. "You should go back to school," she said. Emma pressed the button for the lobby. "We're not having this conversation. We never have this conversation. You change the subject and then you work another shift. I need the shifts. You were going to be a nurse. I still can be." When Emma watched the numbers descend, 2nd floor, 1st floor, lobby, when things settled down. Ruth gave her a tired smile. Things do not settle down. People just get tired of waiting. The doors opened. Emma walked out first. She hated when her mother sounded right. They stepped into the hospital lobby where wet footprints covered the tile and strangers shook snow from their coats. Somewhere near the pharmacy, a child was crying. A television mounted above the waiting area showed traffic accidents across the city. The reporter warned viewers to avoid the bridges after dark. Emma tightened Ruth's scarf. "I'll pick up your prescription after my shift. Not if it means missing rent. I have enough." Ruth looked at her face. Emma had never been good at lying to her mother. "You always say that before something gets shut off," Ruth said. "Nothing is getting shut off. The gas company called." Emma paused. Ruth lifted one eyebrow. "You should erase the messages before I wake up." Emma looked away. "I'll handle it. You cannot handle everything. Watch me." They left the hospital together. The cold outside struck like a slap. Emma guided Ruth toward the bus stop, keeping one hand beneath her elbow. Cars moved slowly through the slush. Sirens echoed somewhere beyond the intersection. Philadelphia looked gray in winter. Gray sky. Gray streets. Gray buildings with blackened snow pushed against the curbs. Emma had once loved the city in January. Now every gust of wind felt expensive. By the time they reached their apartment in Queen Village, Ruth was exhausted. The building had no elevator, and the stairwell smelled of old paint and someone's burnt dinner. Emma climbed one step behind her mother, ready to catch her. On the third floor, a white envelope had been taped to their apartment door. Emma saw the red letters before Ruth did. "Final notice." She stepped ahead and tore it down. "What was that?" Ruth asked. "Nothing. Nothing has a very official envelope. Maintenance. They have started threatening us with paperwork." Now Emma unlocked the door. Inside, the apartment was cold. She switched on the lights and waited. They flickered twice before staying on. Ruth pretended not to notice. Emma helped her settle on the couch, then moved through the small apartment with practiced speed. She checked the heat. She reheated soup. She counted pills. She filled a glass with water and placed it beside the couch. On the refrigerator hung an old photograph of Emma in blue nursing scrubs, smiling beside Ruth on the day she completed her first clinical placement. Emma turned the photograph face down. Her phone rang. The name on the screen made her jaw tighten. "Martin Marino." She answered. "Hello? Where are you?" Martin demanded. "At home. You were supposed to be here at 4. "My shift starts at 5, Lena called out. "I need you early." Emma looked at the clock. It was 3:47. "I just got back from the hospital. That sounds inconvenient." She closed her eyes. "My mother had treatment, and I have a restaurant." Ruth watched her from the couch. Emma lowered her voice. "I can be there at 5. I need you at 4:30. The bus takes 30 minutes. Then walk quickly." Emma stared at the wall. Martin continued. "And wear the black blouse. We have important guests tonight. I always wear the black blouse. The one without the loose button. I fixed the button. Good. Then we agree." He ended the call. Emma lowered the phone. Ruth studied her. "You should quit and become independently wealthy. You could rob a bank. I would need bus fare to get there." Ruth smiled, despite herself. Emma moved toward the kitchen. "There's soup in the refrigerator. The evening pills are in the blue container. Mrs. Alvarez said she would check on you at 7. I do not need checking. Then think of it as a social visit, with a woman who has a key and your instructions taped to her wrist." Emma pulled on her coat. Ruth's expression softened. "You are allowed to have a life." Emma stopped at the door. "This is my life. That is what frightens me." Emma held her mother's gaze for a moment, then looked away. "I'll be back before midnight." She left before Ruth could answer. The sidewalks were already turning to ice. Emma walked quickly toward Old City, passing row houses with glowing windows and restaurants preparing for dinner. Through one window, she saw a family gathered around a table. A little girl stood on a chair while her father tried to braid her hair. Emma kept walking. Marinos occupied the first floor of a restored brick building near Front Street. Brass lamps framed the entrance. Through the windows, candlelight shimmered against white tablecloths and polished glasses. It was the kind of place where people spent more on wine than Emma spent on groceries. The kitchen entrance was around the back. Martin stood near the service station when she arrived, checking his watch. "You're late. It's 4:28. You should have been here at 4:15. You said 4:30. He stared at her as though the details were beneath him. "The private room needs to be reset. We have a DeLuca reservation." Emma removed her coat, which DeLuca Martin gave her a sharp look. "Do not ask questions like that. I need to know how many people. 4 at the table, at least 6 security." The staff around them had gone quiet. Everyone in Philadelphia knew the DeLuca name. Some knew it from construction contracts and freight companies. Others knew it from whispered stories about bookmakers, missing witnesses, and men who entered courtrooms with nothing to fear. Roman DeLuca did not often appear in public. When he did, rooms changed around him. Martin stepped closer to Emma. They requested privacy, no photographs, no staring, no unnecessary conversation. "You say that as if I usually climb into booths with the customers. I am saying they are important." Emma tied her apron. "They still need menus." Martin lowered his voice. "You do not joke with men like Roman DeLuca." "I wasn't planning to." "Good." He walked away. Lena appeared beside Emma carrying silverware. "You got his table," she whispered. Emma glanced at her. "Why?" "Because Martin thinks you never look nervous. I'm always nervous. You hide it better than the rest of us." Emma began arranging the private booth. It sat in the rear corner of the main dining room, partly concealed by a carved wooden divider. From the seat facing the room, a guest could see the front door, the bar, the kitchen entrance, and the hallway leading to the restrooms. Emma noticed that before the security team arrived. When they did, 2 men entered first. They wore dark suits that failed to hide their shoulder holsters. One checked the booth. The other spoke quietly into his sleeve. A third man remained near the entrance. Then Roman DeLuca walked in with his son. Roman was taller than Emma expected. He wore a charcoal overcoat over a black suit with no visible jewelry except a wedding band on his left hand. His face was composed, almost expressionless. His presence did not demand attention. It assumed it. Beside him, Noah DeLuca looked like a boy trying not to disappear inside his own coat. He was 14 thin and already nearly as tall as Emma. Dark hair fell across his forehead. A bruise colored one knuckle, probably from a school sport or a bad decision. Cole Mercer followed them. Emma recognized Cole from local news photographs involving DeLuca businesses. He had the still posture of a man who noticed exits before people. Roman chose the seat with the widest view of the room. Noah slid into the booth across from him. Emma approached with water. "Good evening." Roman looked at her name tag. "Emma." It was not a question. She placed the menus down. "Would you like sparkling or still water?" "Still," Roman said. "Sparkling?" Noah said at the same time. Roman glanced at his son. Noah stared back. Emma kept her expression neutral. "I can bring both." Roman studied her for 1 second longer than necessary. "Both," she returned with the bottles. Noah had opened the menu. Roman had not. "You already know what I want," Noah said. Roman folded his hands on the table. "You order the same thing every time. That does not mean I want it tonight. You said you were hungry." "I am." "Then order." Noah closed the menu. "I want to go to the game Saturday." Roman's face did not change. "No, you did not even ask which game. You mean the Sixers game with Michael and Dean." Noah's eyes narrowed. How do you know I know who invited you? That is not normal. It is necessary. It is creepy. Cole shifted near the divider. Roman ignored him. The arena has too many unsecured entrances. We can have security. You will have security. Nearby, not sitting on top of us. No. Noah leaned back. You say no before I finish speaking. I know the request. You know everything. I know enough. Emma arrived with bread at the exact moment Noah looked toward the ceiling as though asking it for patience. She placed the basket on the table. Would you like a few more minutes? Roman answered. Noah will have the chicken with mushrooms. Noah looked at Emma. I hate mushrooms. Roman turned to him. You ate them last week. I moved them around the plate last week. Emma looked down. On the bread plate, Noah had already arranged 3 olives into a straight line. Most people hide the evidence under a napkin, she said. Noah stared at her, then smiled despite himself. Most people are allowed to order their own food. Roman's gaze moved to Emma. The dining room seemed to quiet around them, though no one had actually stopped speaking. Emma picked up the menu and handed it to Noah. What would you like? Noah scanned it. A burger. Martin would hate that. Marino's served burgers only at the bar. Emma wrote it down. How do you want it cooked? Medium? Roman said medium well. Noah did not look at him. Medium. Emma wrote medium. Roman's eyes remained on her. She met them. Anything for you, Mr. DeLuca? The veal. With potatoes or vegetables? Vegetables. Any mushrooms? Noah looked down to hide another smile. Roman's mouth moved slightly. Not a smile. Almost. No mushrooms. Emma took the menus and left. At the service station, Lena grabbed her arm. Are you insane? He wanted no mushrooms. You know that is not what I mean. Emma placed the order. They are customers. He is Roman DeLuca, and the boy is hungry. Lena stared at her. You are going to get us both killed. Then stop standing so close to me. 20 minutes later, another man entered the restaurant. Victor Hale carried no visible weapon, but the security men recognized him immediately. Cole nodded as Victor approached the table. Victor removed his coat and slid into the booth beside Noah. He had silver beginning at his temples and a face that seemed built for patience. His smile toward Noah was easy and familiar. How did the history exam go? Noah groaned. Traitor. I helped you study. You made me memorize every president between Polk and Lincoln, and I forgot Fillmore. Victor pressed a hand to his heart. A national tragedy. Roman glanced at him. You said it was urgent. Victor's expression settled. A vehicle connected to Rourke's people was seen near Pier 4. Roman's attention sharpened. When twice this week, once near the freight office, once near the North Gate. Cole leaned slightly closer. Was it surveillance? Maybe. Maybe someone wants us to think it was. Victor looked toward Noah. His route should change tonight. Cole answered. It already has. Victor nodded. Who approved it? I did. Good. The word sounded supportive. Nothing more. Emma approached with the food. She placed Noah's burger in front of him. His face brightened in a way that made him look younger. Roman watched that change. Emma set down the veal. Victor ordered coffee. As she poured it, he glanced at her name tag. Emma Carter. Yes. You have been here long. 2 years. Victor smiled. You notice a great deal for someone who tries not to be noticed. Emma set the pot down. I work in a restaurant. Noticing things is the job. Victor looked amused. Useful skill. Roman's gaze moved between them. Emma stepped away. The dinner continued with careful conversation. Victor discussed freight schedules and city permits in language vague enough for Noah to ignore. Cole received 2 phone calls and left the table each time. Noah ate half the burger before asking again about the game. Roman placed his fork down. We discussed this. You said no. That is not a discussion. You will not attend without full security. I said they can be nearby. You do not understand how quickly a crowd becomes dangerous. I understand that I have not gone anywhere without an armed man since I was 6. Victor looked at Roman. Roman's jaw tightened. Noah. I have a tutor tomorrow, a security briefing Friday, and some doctor you decided I need on Monday. The doctor is not negotiable. Nothing is negotiable. Roman lowered his voice. Enough. Noah looked toward the rear hallway. Emma followed his gaze. The hallway led to the restrooms, the kitchen, and the staff exit. She cleared the plates after dinner. Noah asked where the hallway ended. The alley, Emma said. Does it reach Market Street? Yes. Roman looked at him. Why? Noah shrugged. No reason. Emma held his gaze. The alley gets quiet after closing. I was just asking. There are easier ways to get to Market Street. Noah glanced at his father. Not if someone chooses every door for you. Roman's expression hardened. Noah pushed away from the table. I need the bathroom. Cole moved to follow him. Noah stopped. It is 20 feet away. Cole looked at Roman. Roman nodded once. Noah disappeared down the hallway. Emma gathered the empty glasses. Roman watched the corner where his son had vanished. You speak to him differently, he said. Emma kept working. I speak to him like a person. Roman's eyes returned to her. My people speak to him like a person. Your people speak to him like your son. He is my son. That is not the same thing. Victor looked down at his coffee. Cole remained motionless. Roman asked, Why does he answer you? Emma placed the final glass on her tray. Because I ask questions and wait. For the first time that evening, Roman seemed uncertain what to say. Noah returned. He slid back into the booth, but something had changed. His cheeks were flushed. His eyes moved once toward the rear exit. Emma noticed. So did Victor. Roman paid in cash. The amount he left on the table was more than Emma earned in a week. She picked up the folder and carried it toward the service station. Roman called her name. She turned. He stood near the booth while the others collected their coats. He removed a matte black card from his inside pocket. There was no logo on it, no name, only a phone number embossed in silver. He held it out. Emma did not take it. What is that? My private line. I do not need your private line. You notice things. So do your security people. His gaze shifted briefly toward Noah. They notice threats. And I don't. You notice people. The distinction lingered between them. Emma looked at the card. Roman continued. If you ever see something involving Noah that feels wrong, call me. She almost told him that giving his private number to a waitress felt wrong. Instead, she took the card. I hope I never use it. So do I. His fingers closed the distance, folding the card into her palm without touching her skin. Then he stepped away. Victor stood several feet behind him. His phone was raised at chest level. The screen went dark before Emma could tell whether he had taken a photograph. Outside Marino's, the snow had begun to fall harder. Roman's convoy waited along the curb. Noah stopped beside the rear passenger door. Saturday, he said. Roman looked at him. We are not doing this here. We are not doing it anywhere. Noah, I said security can come. You do not set the terms. That is the problem. Cole opened the vehicle door. Noah did not get in. Roman lowered his voice. Get in the car. Noah's eyes flashed. You keep saying you are protecting me, but you do not even know what I want. I know you want to be safe. No, you want me safe. The words landed harder than Noah seemed to expect. Roman went still. For one moment, pain showed beneath his control. Then his phone rang. Victor glanced at the screen. The port meeting, he said. They're already waiting. Roman answered the call. A man's urgent voice carried through the receiver. Roman looked toward Noah, then toward the line of black vehicles. He spoke to Cole. "Use the new route. Straight home." Cole nodded. Roman entered the first SUV with Victor. Noah climbed into the second. The convoy pulled away from the restaurant and divided at the next intersection. Roman's vehicle turned toward the Delaware River. Noah's security car headed south. Inside, Marino's Emma slipped the black card into the pocket of her apron and returned to work. 10 minutes later, Noah's vehicle turned onto a narrow street bordered by closed warehouses. Snow swept across the headlights. A delivery truck blocked the road ahead. The driver slowed. Cole was not in the vehicle. He had been reassigned to Roman for the port meeting. Aaron Blake sat in the front passenger seat speaking into his radio. A man in a utility jacket approached with one hand raised. "Gas leak," he shouted. "You need to turn around." The driver reached for the gear shift. The radio burst into static. Aaron's head turned. The man outside drew a weapon. The first shot shattered the windshield. The second struck the driver. 2 attackers opened the rear doors before Noah could reach the opposite handle. Aaron fired once. A third attacker appeared behind him. The gunshot inside the vehicle was deafening. Noah screamed. A gloved hand covered his mouth. The attackers moved with precise knowledge. They knew where the backup weapon was stored. They knew which door locked automatically. They knew the panic code. They knew Noah's medical history. They knew the route that had existed for less than 12 hours. The entire attack lasted 87 seconds. By the time another DeLuca vehicle reached the street, the delivery truck was gone. The security car remained beneath the falling snow. The driver was unconscious. Aaron Blake was dead. Noah had vanished. Across the city, Roman sat at the head of a polished table inside a private riverfront club. Documents waited for his signature. Lawyers spoke in low voices. Victor stood at his right shoulder and assured him that Noah's detail was secure. Beneath the table, Victor's phone vibrated. He looked down. 2 words appeared on the screen. "Package moving." Victor deleted the message and slipped the phone into his pocket. Then he leaned toward Roman as though nothing in the city had changed. Then Roman's private phone rang. The sound was soft, almost polite, but every man at the table stopped speaking. Only a handful of people possessed that number. Victor was one of them. Cole Mercer had it. Roman's attorney had it. Noah had it. Roman looked at the unfamiliar number on the screen. He answered. "DeLuca." For half a second, there was only wind. Then a woman's voice said, "Mr. DeLuca, this is Emma Carter. I served you and your son tonight." Roman remembered the waitress immediately, the calm eyes, the black blouse, the way she had handed Noah a menu as if Roman had not already spoken for him. His hand tightened around the phone. "What happened?" Emma's breathing was unsteady, but her voice remained controlled. "Your son is behind Marino's. He's injured. He's bleeding and he can't stand." The room seemed to contract around Roman. He rose so quickly that his chair struck the wall. Victor stepped forward. Roman did not look at him. "Is he conscious?" he asked. "Barely." "Did you call an ambulance?" "Yes. They're coming." Roman was already moving toward the door. "Do not leave him." "I wasn't planning to. I am 6 minutes away." Emma looked toward the alley entrance, where snow swept across the pavement in white waves. "You're 12 minutes away." Roman opened the door to the private elevator. "Not tonight." He ended the call. The agreement on the table remained unsigned. The lawyers began speaking at once. Roman pointed toward Cole. "Bring the cars. Call St. Catherine's. Lock down the emergency floor." Cole followed without asking why. Victor moved with them. "What happened?" Roman entered the elevator. They took Noah. Victor's face changed with perfect precision. Shock first, then anger, then concern. "Who called the waitress?" Victor's eyes sharpened for less than a second. Roman did not notice. The elevator doors closed. By the time the convoy reached Market Street, Roman had already ordered every Bridge private airfield train station and highway exit within 50 miles watched. He called the driver assigned to Noah's vehicle. No answer. He called Aaron Blake. No answer. He called the backup team. They had found the security car. The driver was alive. Aaron was dead. Noah was gone. Roman ended the call without speaking. Cole sat across from him in the moving SUV, bloodless, beneath the streetlights. "I approve that route," Cole said. Roman stared through the windshield. "Not now. I should have been in the car. Not now." Victor sat beside Roman. "We find the boy first. We assign blame after." Roman turned his head slowly. There was something dangerous in the silence before he spoke. "There will be no after for the man who touched my son." The vehicle accelerated through a red light. When the convoy reached Marino's, the street had been blocked by black SUVs and an ambulance. Snow spun through the beams of the emergency lights. Roman stepped out before the driver had fully stopped. Armed men spread across the alley. He barely saw them. He saw Noah. His son lay on the frozen pavement beneath a silver emergency blanket. One side of his face was swollen. Blood had soaked through the white scarf pressed beneath his ribs. Emma knelt beside him. Her bare hands were red from the cold and from Noah's blood. Roman crossed the alley. He had walked into courtrooms where witnesses refused to look at him. He had entered rooms where armed men lowered their weapons at the sight of his face. None of that power followed him into the snow. He dropped to his knees beside his son. "Noah." The boy's good eye opened. "Dad." The word nearly destroyed him. Roman reached forward. Emma caught his wrist. "Do not lift him." 3 of Roman's men moved at once. Roman raised his free hand, stopping them. Emma released him. "He may have a spinal injury," she said. "The paramedics need to stabilize his neck first." Roman looked down at Noah. "What did they do to you?" Noah tried to answer, but his breath broke into a groan. Emma pressed the scarf more firmly against the wound. "Keep him looking at you." Roman shifted closer. "Noah, look at me." Noah's eye drifted shut. Roman touched his cheek. "Open your eyes." "I'm tired." "You can sleep when the doctor tells you." "That doesn't sound fair." Roman released a breath that was almost a laugh and almost grief. "No, it doesn't." The paramedics moved in. One cut away the rest of Noah's shirt. Another fitted a brace around his neck. Emma gave them a rapid summary of what she had observed. Shallow wound beneath the ribs, uneven breathing, possible concussion, possible fracture. No loss of consciousness longer than a few seconds. The lead paramedic looked at her. "You medical, not anymore." Roman heard the answer. Before the stretcher lifted, Noah's hand closed around Roman's sleeve. Roman leaned down. The men knew the new route Noah whispered. Roman went still. Noah opened his fist. A small metal compass rested in his palm, the emblem worn by Roman's inner security unit. One of them had this. Roman looked toward Cole, then Victor, then every armed man standing in the alley. For the first time in years, he did not know which face belonged to an enemy. The ambulance doors closed. Roman climbed inside. Emma stepped back. Noah reached toward her weakly. "Emma." She stopped. Roman looked at her. "Come." She hesitated. "My mother is alone." Roman pulled out his phone. "Address. I didn't ask you to send anyone. My son asked for you. That does not give you control over my life." Even with Noah bleeding between them, she did not lower her eyes. Roman studied her for one hard second. Then he said, "Give me the address. I will send a woman from hospital security to sit outside the building. She will not enter unless your mother invites her." Emma looked surprised. So did Cole. Roman held her gaze. "Your choice." Emma gave him the address. Then she climbed into the ambulance. At St. Catherine's, the emergency entrance had already been cleared. Doctors surrounded Noah the moment the doors opened. Roman followed until a nurse blocked his path. "You need to wait here. My son is in there, and the trauma team cannot work with you standing over them." Roman looked past her toward the treatment room. Cole stepped close. "Let them work." Roman turned on him. Cole did not move. After several seconds, Roman stepped back. Emma stood near the wall, rubbing warmth into her hands. Blood had dried beneath her fingernails. A nurse approached with a basin and clean towels. Emma washed in silence. The water turned pink. Roman watched her. "You kept pressure on the wound." "Yes, you kept him conscious." "I tried. You knew what to do." "I studied nursing." "Why did you stop?" Emma looked toward the doors where Noah had disappeared. "My mother got sick." Roman waited for more. She did not give it. Victor arrived with Ben Foster and 2 additional guards. Ben carried a tablet and a hard case filled with electronic equipment. Victor approached Roman. "The driver is alive. Severe head injury, but he may recover. Aaron dead at the scene." Roman's eyes hardened. Victor lowered his voice. "The attackers wore colors associated with Dominic Rourke." Emma looked up from the basin. Roman noticed. "What?" She dried her hands. "Nothing." "You reacted. I heard the name. You know Rourke. I know enough to know you're supposed to hate him." Victor looked at her. Roman said, "This is not your concern." Emma placed the towel beside the basin. "Your son was left behind my workplace with your number in my pocket. Someone made it my concern." Victor's expression remained pleasant. "You did a brave thing tonight, Miss Carter." Emma looked at him. "You were at the restaurant." "I was." "You asked about the route." Cole shifted. Victor's smile faded by a fraction. "I recommended changing it." Emma nodded. "I remember." Roman watched them both. Before anyone could speak again, the trauma surgeon entered the hallway. Roman crossed the distance in 3 steps. "How is he?" "He has 2 fractured ribs, a moderate concussion, and a stab wound beneath the right side of his rib cage." Roman's face did not move. The surgeon continued. "The blade missed the liver, kidney, and major vessels. We have controlled the bleeding. There is no evidence of damage to the spinal cord." "Will he live?" "Yes." The word passed through Roman like air returning to a sealed room. Emma closed her eyes. Cole lowered his head. The surgeon looked at Roman carefully. "There is something else." "What?" "The wound is unusual." Roman's attention sharpened. "It is deep enough to cause pain and visible blood loss, but the angle avoids the structures most likely to kill him. Combined with the location where he was found, I would say whoever used the knife had some anatomical knowledge." Emma looked toward the treatment room. "They wanted him alive." The surgeon nodded. "That would be my impression." Roman's relief vanished. He turned to Cole. "Find Rourke." Emma stepped forward. "No." Every man in the hallway looked at her. Roman spoke softly. "You should leave. You don't know Rourke did this. My son was taken by men wearing his colors, men who kept Noah breathing." Victor said, "That does not make them innocent." Emma looked at him. "No, it makes the scene deliberate." Roman's voice lowered further. "Be careful." She was afraid. He could see it in the pulse beating quickly at her throat. But she continued. "If they wanted Noah dead, he would be dead. Instead, they injured him, carried him across the city, and left him where I would find him. They wanted you to see something. They wanted me to see what Rourke did, or they wanted you to believe that." Silence filled the hallway. Ben looked at Roman. "She's right about one thing. The alley is not random. Roman's eyes remained on Emma. She said, "Ask why they chose me." Before Roman could respond, the nurse appeared. "Noah is awake." Roman entered the room alone at first. Noah lay beneath a white blanket with monitoring lines across his chest. The bruising on his face looked darker beneath the hospital lights. Roman sat beside the bed. He wanted to touch his son, but Emma's words from the alley returned to him. He rested his hand on the mattress instead. "Noah." The boy opened his eye. "Did you burn anything down yet?" Roman's jaw tightened. "No." "Good. Tell me what happened." Noah looked toward the door. Emma stood outside the glass. Roman followed his gaze. "You want her here?" Noah nodded. Roman opened the door. Emma entered and stood near the wall. Noah took a shallow breath. There was a truck in the road. A man said there was a gas leak. "Did you recognize him?" "No." "How many? 4, maybe 5. "What did they say?" Noah closed his eye. Roman leaned closer. "Noah," Emma spoke quietly. "Give him a second." Roman did not look at her. Noah swallowed. They kept saying Rourke's name. Roman's expression hardened. "One of them said Mr. Rourke wanted you to understand." "What else?" They argued. "About what?" "How much to hurt me." Emma watched Noah's fingers tighten around the blanket. "One of them told another man not to hit my left side," Noah said. "He said my breathing was already bad." Roman's face changed. "They gave me water. They checked my eyes. One man kept counting my breaths." Emma stepped closer. "They were monitoring you." Noah nodded. "One of them said there had to be enough blood." Roman looked at the bandage beneath the blanket. Enough for what Noah's voice dropped. "For you." Roman sat back. The machines continued their quiet rhythm. Noah lifted his hand. The compass fell from one of their jackets. Cole stood outside the room listening through the open door. Roman asked, "Did you see his face?" "No." "Did you hear his voice?" Noah hesitated. Roman noticed. "You knew it." "I don't know." "You recognized something." Noah's breathing quickened. Emma moved between Roman and the bed. "That's enough." Roman rose. "We need the name. He has a concussion. The man could be moving right now." Emma held his gaze. "And your son is lying in a hospital bed trying not to panic." Roman looked past her. Noah had turned his face toward the window. His chest rose too quickly. Emma touched the rail beside him. "Noah, look at the clock." He did not respond. "The clock on the wall. Tell me what color the second hand is." His eye moved. "Red." "Good. Tell me 5 things you can see." Roman stood motionless while she guided Noah back into the room. The clock, the window, the blue chair, Roman's ring, Emma's black blouse. Noah's breathing slowed. Emma looked at Roman. "He is your son, not an interrogation room." Roman walked out before his anger found the wrong target. He stopped at the end of the hallway, both hands braced against the window. Below him, Philadelphia moved through the snow. Cars crossed intersections. People hurried beneath umbrellas. The city had no idea how close it had come to violence. Emma joined him several minutes later. "You think I'm weak?" he said. "I think you're frightened." Roman turned. No one spoke to him that way. She continued. "You're trying to turn fear into orders, because orders are easier. My son was taken. Yes. I am going to find the men responsible. Yes. And if they belong to Rourke, then you deal with Rourke." Roman stepped closer. "And if they belong to me?" Emma did not answer immediately. Then this started before tonight. Cole approached with Ben. Ben opened the tablet. "We reconstructed the attack." Roman turned. "The truck was stolen from a utility contractor this afternoon. The attackers knew the route, the radio frequency, the emergency code, and the location of the weapon compartment. Cole spoke through clenched teeth. They knew the response vehicle would be 2 minutes behind. Ben continued. They also knew Noah's medical file. Roman looked at him. What part his childhood asthma? The inhaler stored beneath the rear seat was removed before the attack. One of the men carried a replacement. Emma's expression tightened. They planned to keep him breathing. Ben nodded. We checked access records for the route file. It was opened 3 times after Cole approved it. By whom, Cole? The driver. Victor. The hallway went still. Victor stood several feet away. His face showed restrained disbelief. That file was accessed from my office terminal. Ben nodded. Using your credentials. Victor looked at Roman. You know I did not take Noah. Roman's eyes were unreadable. Victor stepped closer. My credentials were copied during the system upgrade last month. Ben warned us the old administrator keys were vulnerable. Ben said they were vulnerable for 48 hours, and someone used them. Roman stared at the man who had stood beside him for nearly 20 years. Victor had carried Noah through Elena's funeral when the boy was too young to understand why his mother was gone. Victor had slept outside Noah's room during the threats that followed. Victor had built the routes, the walls, and the system meant to keep Roman's family alive. Roman wanted the evidence to mean anything else. He looked at Cole. Bring me every access record, every vehicle log, every payment made in the last 6 months. Cole nodded. And Rourke. Victor asked. Roman looked toward Noah's room. We speak before we shoot. Victor's expression shifted so slightly that only Emma saw it. Not relief. Disappointment. Later that night, Roman met Dominic Rourke inside an abandoned boxing gym in South Philadelphia. The ring ropes sagged. Dust covered the folding chairs. Snow tapped against the high windows. Dominic arrived with 2 men. Roman brought Cole and Victor. No one drew a weapon. Dominic removed his gloves. I heard about the boy. Roman placed the false insignia and torn fabric on the edge of the ring. Dominic examined them. These are not mine. They carry your mark. They carry a version of it. He turned the fabric beneath the light. My people use black stitching. This is gray. Victor said easy detail to change after the fact. Dominic looked at him. You always were the suspicious one. Roman stepped closer. My son heard your name. Dominic gave a humorless smile. Then someone wanted him to remember it. You expect me to believe you had no part in this. I expect you to ask who profits if we start shooting. Roman said nothing. Dominic moved toward the old ring. Peace makes men like us rich. War closes roads, burns warehouses, and brings federal attention. He looked at Victor. But war makes other men important. Men who control weapons, vehicles, safe houses, emergency money. Victor's face remained calm. Dominic returned his attention to Roman. The man beneath the king becomes powerful when the kingdom catches fire. Roman's voice was cold. Name him. If I knew his name, I would sell it to you. You expect me to trust you, no. Dominic pulled on his gloves. I expect you to understand profit. He walked toward the exit. At the door, he paused. If I wanted your son dead, Roman, you would not have found him breathing. Then he left. Back at St. Catherine's, Ben worked through traffic footage surrounding Marino's. Emma sat beside Noah while he slept. Roman stood behind her, watching the boy breathe. Ben entered with the tablet. I found the vehicle. Roman took the screen. A dark van crossed through 3 different districts after the kidnapping. It passed St. Catherine's. It passed 2 urgent care centers. It passed a police station. Then it stopped 2 blocks from Marino's. Ben changed the image. Another camera showed a woman standing near the restaurant bar earlier that evening. She held her phone toward Roman's booth. A photograph had been taken at the exact moment Roman placed the black card into Emma's hand. Ben said, "The image was sent to an encrypted account connected to a shell company." "Whose company?" Roman asked. Ben looked toward Victor's empty chair in the hallway. "One Victor uses for private security purchases." Emma stared at the photograph. "They knew I had the number." Roman looked at her. "They knew you would find Noah. They knew I would help him." Her voice had become quieter. Ben enlarged the background. Victor stood behind Roman in the restaurant. His eyes were fixed on the black card in Emma's hand. His phone was raised near his chest. Emma felt the cold of the alley return to her skin. Roman looked through the glass at his sleeping son. The wound had not been meant to kill Noah. The snow had not been meant to hide him. Emma's compassion had not disrupted the plan. It had completed it. Roman lifted his eyes toward the reflection in the hospital window where the faces of his family, his allies and the woman pulled into their world, appeared together in the glass. Somewhere among those faces was the man who had designed the night. Roman did not confront Victor at the hospital. Not yet. Suspicion was not proof, and Victor had survived beside him long enough to understand the danger of leaving evidence behind. If Roman moved too soon, the man responsible would disappear, taking every answer with him. Roman looked through the glass at Noah sleeping beneath the hospital lights. Then he looked at Emma. "You and your mother cannot go home." Emma's expression hardened immediately. "That is not your decision. The people who took Noah photographed you. They knew your schedule, your workplace, and the exact moment you would leave through that alley. I understand the danger. No, you understand the part you have seen. And you think frightening me gives you permission to order me around." Roman stepped closer, lowering his voice so Noah would not hear if he woke. "I think the person who planned this may believe you can identify something useful. That makes you a witness. It also makes you a target." Emma folded her arms. "My mother is sick. She needs her medication, her own bed, and some sense that her life has not been swallowed by yours." Roman glanced toward Cole. "Send a medical team to her apartment. Move everything she needs to the guest house." Emma stared at him. "You did not hear a word I said." "I heard every word." "Then why are you still giving orders?" "Because we are standing inside a hospital guarded by men I may no longer trust." His voice never rose, but the fear beneath it sharpened every syllable. Emma saw it. She also saw how quickly fear became authority in Roman's hands. "You can explain the danger," she said. "You can give me choices. You do not get to remove me from my life and call it protection." Roman's jaw tightened. "This is not a negotiation. That is exactly what Noah has been trying to tell you." The words struck harder than she intended. Roman went silent. Cole looked away. Emma did not apologize. After several seconds, Roman took out his phone. "You may stay at the guest house on my property, a hotel under another name, or an apartment owned by my attorney. Each location will have security outside. No one enters without your permission." Emma studied him, surprised by the correction. "My mother chooses with me." "Yes, and the guards stay outside unless we ask." Roman hesitated. Emma raised one eyebrow. "Unless there is an immediate threat," he said. "Define immediate. Someone with a weapon attempting to enter. Not someone you dislike walking past the building." A shadow of irritation crossed his face. "Agreed." Emma picked up her coat from the chair. "The guest house is closest to the hospital 20 minutes. "Then I will ask my mother." Roman nodded. It was a small concession, but Cole watched him as if he had just witnessed a wall move. Ruth Carter did not react to the armed vehicles outside her apartment the way Roman expected. She opened the door wearing slippers and holding a wooden spoon. Her eyes moved over Roman, Cole, the two female security officers, and the physician waiting behind them. Then she looked at Emma. "You brought the Mafia home." Emma stepped inside. "It has been a difficult night. I gathered that from the 6 black cars blocking Mrs. Alvarez's parking space." Roman remained in the hallway. "Mrs. Carter, my name is Roman DeLuca. I know who you are." Ruth turned back toward the kitchen. "Come in before the neighbors decide I am being arrested." Roman entered. The apartment was smaller than the guest bathroom in his estate. A space heater hummed beside the couch. Medical bills covered one corner of the kitchen table. A photograph of Emma in nursing scrubs stood beside a bowl of oranges. Ruth noticed him looking at it. "She was good," Ruth said. Her instructors said she had the hands for it. Emma began packing medication into a canvas bag. "Mom." "What?" "He has eyes." Roman looked at Emma. She avoided him. Ruth pointed the spoon toward a chair. "Sit." Cole nearly smiled. Roman sat. Ruth returned to the stove, stirred a pot of soup, then switched off the burner. Emma explained the situation without mentioning Victor's name. She said someone connected to the attack had watched the restaurant and might know where they lived. Ruth listened without interrupting. When Emma finished, Ruth looked at Roman. "You think my daughter is in danger because she saved your son?" "Yes." "You think moving us to your property will protect her? It will make reaching her more difficult." "That was not my question." Roman held her gaze. "I cannot promise safety." Ruth nodded once. At least he had not lied. She sat across from him. "What kind of man are you?" Emma stopped packing. "Mom." Ruth ignored her. Roman answered carefully. "I own transportation companies, restaurants, private security firms, and commercial property." Ruth tapped the spoon against the table. "I did not ask what you own." Roman's eyes lowered toward the medical bills. He could have given her the answer people expected. He could have softened the truth, used legal language, or hidden behind respectable businesses. Instead, he said, "People have died because of decisions I made." The room became very quiet. Ruth studied him. "Will Emma be safer with you?" Roman looked toward Emma. "She will be protected." "That is not the same thing." "No." Ruth leaned back. "My daughter has spent years confusing sacrifice with love. Do not teach her to confuse control with love, too." Emma looked down. Roman did not defend himself. Ruth stood slowly. "We will stay in the guest house. Emma chose it because it is near the hospital." Roman nodded. Ruth pointed the spoon at him again. "And your men stay outside?" "Yes. If one of them comes into my room without knocking, I will hit him with this." Cole finally smiled. Ruth looked at him. "That includes you." His smile disappeared. "Yes, ma'am." The guest house stood beyond a line of bare trees on the eastern edge of Roman's estate. It was larger than Emma's apartment building and quieter than any place she had ever slept. Tall windows overlooked snow-covered gardens. Fresh groceries filled the kitchen. The guest bedroom contained medical equipment that had not been there an hour earlier. Emma found Ruth's exact medication arranged beside the bed. She looked at Roman. "How did you get this?" "I called the hospital pharmacy. It was not available. It became available." Emma turned toward him. "Did someone else lose their medication because you wanted it?" "No." "How do I know?" "Because I purchased it from a private supplier." She looked at the label. The prescription was legitimate. The dosage was correct. Roman watched her suspicion. "I will give you the supplier's records if you want them." "That is not the point." "What is the point?" "You solve every problem by making the world move around you. When the world moves, problems get solved. For you." Ruth entered the room behind them. "She's going to argue with you until breakfast." Roman looked at Emma. "I am beginning to understand that." Emma crossed her arms. "Good." Roman left 2 guards outside and returned to the main house. For the first time since Noah's abduction, he found Victor waiting in his study. Victor stood near the fireplace with a glass of whiskey in one hand. He looked tired, but not afraid. Roman closed the door. "You should be at the hospital," Victor said. "Noah is sleeping, and the waitress protected." Victor took a drink. "You moved quickly. I had reason." Victor turned toward him. "Do you believe I took your son?" Roman walked to the desk but did not sit. "I believe your credentials access the route. You know how many systems use my authorization. I know exactly how many. And you know I helped build every one of them." Roman watched him. Victor set the glass down. "I was at Elena's funeral. I carried Noah when he was too young to understand why she was not coming home. I slept outside his room for 3 weeks because you refused to leave the estate. I remember. Then look at me and tell me you think I put a knife in him." Roman's expression did not change. "I think someone used your companies, your credentials, and your knowledge. That is not an answer." "No." Victor's eyes hardened. Roman continued. "Until I have one, you will not access Noah's security files." Victor stared at him. "You are removing me. I am narrowing access. After 20 years. After my son was left bleeding in an alley." For the first time, anger broke through Victor's calm. "I built the system that kept him alive for those 20 years, and someone used it to take him." Victor stepped closer. "You are frightened, Roman. Fear is making you suspicious of the people who stayed when everyone else left." Roman's voice softened. "Fear does not make a root file open itself." Victor held his gaze, then picked up his coat. "When you decide whether I am family or an employee, let me know." He left without touching the whiskey again. Roman watched the door close. The performance had been almost perfect. The anger was real. That made it more dangerous. By morning, Ben had found Tyler Quinn. Tyler worked for one of Roman's freight companies and occasionally assisted the private security crews. He had access to utility vehicles, maintenance uniforms, and warehouse keys. He also owed more than $200,000 to bookmakers connected to Dominic Rourke. 3 weeks earlier, Tyler's younger sister had entered a private treatment center outside the city. The first month had been paid in cash through a company tied to Victor. Cole placed the photographs across Roman's dining table. Tyler rented the delivery truck under a false name, he said. The signature matches. Roman studied the image of Tyler leaving the rental office. "Where is he?" "We are tracking him." Ben turned his laptop around. "I found a lease for an apartment in Fishtown, paid through a shell account. The account received money from one of Rourke's companies." Emma stood at the opposite end of the table. Roman looked at her. "You should be with your mother. She is sleeping. This is not a restaurant problem. No. It is the reason someone photographed me at my restaurant." Roman did not order her out. Cole opened another file. Tyler bought 3 burner phones, one connected to the vehicle used in the abduction. Ben displayed photographs from the apartment search. A blood-stained jacket hung over a chair. Copies of Noah's roots covered the kitchen counter. Several pieces of Dominic Rourke's insignia rested beside stacks of cash. Roman looked at Cole. "Bring him alive." Emma leaned closer to the photographs. She studied the room, moving from image to image. What Roman asked. She pointed toward the kitchen. "The apartment is filthy." Cole frowned. "Tyler is not known for housekeeping. There are food containers on the floor, clothes on the couch, dishes in the sink." Roman waited. Emma touched the image of the counter. "But every piece of evidence is clean." Ben enlarged the photograph. The wrote papers were aligned. The cash had been stacked by denomination. The burner phones sat side by side with their screens facing upward. Emma looked at Roman. "It looks like someone built an exhibit," Cole said. "Or Tyler kept the important things organized. Then why hang a blood-stained jacket where the first person entering would see it?" Roman looked again. Emma continued. If you were hiding evidence that could get you killed, would you place it in the center of the room? Roman's eyes darkened. Someone wanted us to find him. Ben checked the location tracker. He just entered one of our security offices near the river. Cole reached for his coat. That building was decommissioned last month. Roman stood. Move. The old security office occupied the second floor of a brick warehouse near the Delaware River. The ground level was empty except for abandoned desks and filing cabinets. Cole's team surrounded the building before Roman arrived. Tyler had entered alone. No one had seen him leave. Emma remained in the vehicle until Cole told Roman that one of the voices captured near Marino's might belong to Tyler. I need her to hear him, Cole said. Nothing more. Roman looked at Emma. You remain behind the security line. She opened the door. That sounded almost like a request. It was not. Then try again. Cole stared at the ground. Roman took a controlled breath. Will you remain behind the security line? Emma stepped out. Yes. They entered through the rear stairwell. The building smelled of damp concrete and old wiring. Emergency lights cast a pale glow along the corridor. Tyler sat in an interrogation room with his wrists secured to the table. He was thin, unshaven, and trembling hard enough to make the chain between the cuffs scrape against the metal. Roman entered first. Tyler looked up. I did not know they would hurt him that badly. Roman closed the door. The sentence was enough. He crossed the room and struck Tyler so hard the chair fell sideways. Cole lifted the chair again. Roman grabbed Tyler by the throat. Who? Tyler's face turned red. I cannot. Roman tightened his grip. Emma watched through the observation window. Tyler's eyes moved toward the corner of the room, not toward Roman, toward the ceiling vent. Emma leaned closer to the glass. Why is he looking up? Ben checked the building controls. Before he could answer, every light went out. The darkness arrived with a metallic click. Then came the first gunshot. Glass shattered beside Emma's head. Cole pulled her to the floor. Men entered through a maintenance corridor behind the observation room. They wore black clothing without insignia. The first attacker fired toward Tyler. Roman overturned the metal table and dragged Tyler behind it as bullets struck the walls. Cole returned fire. Ben crawled toward the alarm panel. It is dead, he shouted. Another attacker pushed through the broken window. Emma saw the muzzle move toward Cole. She grabbed a fallen flashlight and threw it. The beam struck the man's face. Cole fired. The attacker dropped. A bullet caught Cole high in the side. He hit the floor with a sharp breath. Emma crawled toward him. Roman shouted her name. She ignored him. Blood spread beneath Cole's jacket. Emma pressed both hands against the wound. Stay with me. Cole tried to sit up. She forced him down. Do not move. Tyler crawled from behind the table and grabbed a gun from the fallen attacker. Roman turned toward him. Tyler aimed past Emma and fired. A man emerging from the maintenance corridor collapsed. Tyler dropped the weapon immediately. I saved her, he said. I saved her. Roman crossed the room, seized Tyler by the collar, and drove him against the wall. He pressed a gun beneath Tyler's jaw. Tyler closed his eyes. Emma kept pressure on Cole's wound. If you kill him, you kill the answer. Roman did not move. He helped take my son. And someone just sent armed men to make sure he never told you why. Roman's finger rested against the trigger. Tyler began to cry. He has my sister. Roman looked into his face. Who Tyler swallowed. Victor. The name entered the room like another shot. Roman lowered the gun, only slightly. Emma said, Roman. He stepped back. Tyler collapsed against the wall. Cole watched through the pain. Roman had spared men for profit before. He had delayed death for information. This was different. Everyone in the room knew it. The surviving attackers were dead. None carried identification. Ben restored emergency power while an ambulance took Cole to St. Catherine's. Tyler remained handcuffed in the interrogation room. Roman sat across from him. Emma stood near the door. Tyler looked at her. "You were not supposed to be here." Emma's expression did not change. "You knew who I was. He showed us your picture." Roman leaned forward. "Start at the beginning." Tyler's hands trembled against the table. Victor had approached him 4 months earlier. At first, the requests seemed harmless. Vehicle schedules, security frequencies, maintenance uniforms, access keys for warehouses Victor already controlled. Tyler owed money. His sister Kayla had disappeared for days at a time. Victor promised to clear the debt and place her in treatment. "He said nobody would die," Tyler whispered. "Aaron Blake died," Roman said. Tyler flinched. That was not part of it. Aaron fought back. One of the men panicked. Roman's face became still. Emma recognized that stillness now. It was the moment before violence. She remained near the door. Tyler continued quickly. Victor wanted Dominic Rourke blamed for Noah's kidnapping. He knew Roman would respond before the evidence could be questioned. The planted root files would identify Tyler as the traitor. Roman would kill him. Rourke would retaliate. Warehouses would burn. Men loyal to Roman would die in ambushes arranged by Victor. During the chaos, Victor would control the emergency accounts, weapons replacement crews, safe houses, and transportation network. "He did not want your position," Tyler said. "Not yet." Roman's voice was quiet. "What did he want?" "He wanted you to need him." Tyler looked down. "He said you had become cautious after your wife died. He said you were leaving money on the table because you were afraid of losing Noah. He wanted a war big enough to make every road lead through him." Emma thought of Dominic's words in the boxing gym. "The man beneath the king becomes powerful when the kingdom catches fire." Roman asked, "Why leave Noah at Marino's?" Tyler looked toward Emma. Victor saw her before that night. Emma felt a chill move across her shoulders. "He knew I worked there. He watched the restaurant for weeks. He said she noticed people. He said she would not leave a bleeding kid in the snow." Roman's eyes sharpened. Tyler continued. "When you gave her the private number, Victor changed the drop point. He said it was perfect. She would keep Noah alive. She would call you. You would see the Rourke colors before anyone could explain." Emma stared at him. "He counted on me helping." Tyler nodded. He called kindness predictable. Roman looked at Emma. For a moment, shame entered his face. Not because she had helped Noah, but because the qualities that had drawn his attention to her had been turned into weapons. Tyler's voice cracked. "I did not touch the boy. I drove the second car. I swear." Roman rose. Tyler recoiled. Roman placed both hands on the table. "Where is Victor? I do not know. You contacted him, only through burner phones. Where would he go?" Tyler shook his head. "He has warehouses everywhere, places even your people do not know about." Roman stared at him. Tyler looked toward Emma again. "He said you would kill me before I finished the first sentence." Roman's expression did not change. "He knew you," Tyler said. Roman left the room. He walked alone through the abandoned office until he reached the river facing windows. Snow moved across the dark water. Emma found him there several minutes later. He did not turn. "Victor was with me when Elena died," he said. Emma waited. Roman's reflection appeared in the glass. 8 years earlier, Elena had been killed by a car bomb meant for him. Roman had promised to attend Noah's winter concert that evening. Instead, he chose a meeting at the port. Elena drove alone. Victor reached the wreck before Roman did. He pulled her from the car, Roman said. She was alive for 3 minutes. Emma stood beside him. "What did she say?" She asked where Noah was. Roman looked down at his wedding ring. "After the funeral, I moved Noah into the estate. Victor built the first security system himself. Cameras, routes, guards, emergency rooms. I believed no one understood what I had lost better than he did. Emma spoke softly. Maybe he did understand. Roman looked at her, and used it anyway. Yes. He turned toward the river again. I thought if I controlled enough, I could keep the same thing from happening twice. You were afraid. I was responsible. Both can be true. His jaw tightened. Noah left the vehicle because he wanted 1 hour without guards. That does not make the kidnapping his fault. It made the opening. Emma moved closer. You built walls because you could not survive another loss. Roman said nothing. She continued. But walls do not only keep danger out. He looked at her. They keep life out too, she said. The words remained between them. Roman lowered his eyes. I could not lose him. So you made sure nothing could reach him. He nodded once. Not even life. Roman closed his eyes. For several seconds, the feared man who controlled half the room whenever he entered it stood in silence with nowhere to hide. When he opened his eyes, Emma was still there. You should hate me, he said. I do not know you well enough to hate you. A tired breath escaped him. That may be the cruelest thing anyone has said to me. It was not meant to be cruel. I know. He lifted one hand toward her face. Emma did not move. His fingers stopped before touching her cheek. May I? The question surprised them both. Emma looked at his hand, then at him. Yes. Roman brushed a loose strand of hair behind her ear. The touch was gentle enough to feel uncertain. His thumb rested for 1 second near her temple. Emma could feel the warmth of him, the restraint in his shoulders, the dangerous weight of everything he had not said. She stepped closer, then stopped. Gratitude is not love, she said. I know. Fear is not love. I know. Attraction is not love either. Roman's gaze dropped briefly to her mouth. No. Emma held his eyes. You are beginning to understand. A phone rang behind them. Roman lowered his hand. Ben approached from the corridor holding a tablet. We found a signal. Roman turned. Victor. A series of encrypted transmissions began after the attack here. They are coming from the waterfront. Ben displayed a map. The location was an abandoned marine equipment warehouse on the northern edge of the Delaware River. Tyler recognized it immediately. Victor had used the property for shipments that never appeared in Roman's official records. Ben opened the building plans. There is more. The warehouse has been drawing power for months. Cameras, servers, climate control, and something connected to the old fuel system. Roman looked toward Tyler. What is inside Tyler's face had gone pale. Records, weapons, maybe money. Ben's tablet sounded. A video file appeared. Roman opened it. Victor stood inside a vast warehouse beneath hanging industrial lights. Behind him were rows of sealed crates and a wall covered with live surveillance screens. One screen showed the hospital. Another showed Roman's estate. A third showed the guest house where Ruth slept. Emma moved closer. Victor looked directly into the camera. You wanted proof, Roman. It is here. He gestured toward the crates. Payments routes, names, officers, judges, every compromise that kept your empire alive. Roman's expression remained still. Victor continued. You built a name. I built the machinery beneath it. For 20 years I stood behind you while men praised your judgment, your discipline, your power. His smile held no warmth. Now you look at me as if I am a stranger. A timer appeared in the lower corner of the screen. 60 minutes, Victor said. Come alone. No Cole, no federal agents, no army waiting outside. His eyes shifted as though he could see Emma through the recording. Bring the waitress if you need someone to tell you what to think. The video ended. Roman reached for his coat. Emma studied the building plan on Ben's screen. Victor knows how you enter a room, she said. Roman checked the magazine in his pistol. He knows how I leave one too. He expects you angry. I am angry. He expects you alone. I will not put anyone else inside that building. Emma looked at the cameras covering the warehouse. That is why he chose it. Roman paused. Ben enlarged the plans. Emma pointed toward the central loading bay, then the narrow service corridors running beneath it. Let him believe you are still the man he designed this trap for. Roman looked at her. Outside the windows, snow moved across the river, erasing the tracks of every vehicle that passed. Inside, the timer continued counting down. The timer on Ben's screen reached 53 minutes. Roman studied the warehouse plans in silence. The building sat against the river like a rusted animal long abandoned by the shipping company that once owned it. 3 loading bays faced the water. A narrow service road curved behind the main structure. Beneath the concrete floor, old drainage tunnels connected the warehouse to a maintenance channel near the riverbank. Victor knew every official entrance. He had designed the surveillance network himself. Roman placed his pistol inside his coat. I enter through the main bay. Cole stood with one arm secured against his wounded side. You are not going alone. You can barely stand. I can shoot standing still. Emma looked at the dark stain spreading near the edge of his bandage. You will tear the wound open. Cole glanced at her. Then make sure I do not. Roman shook his head. No. Ben turned the tablet toward him. There is a maintenance tunnel beneath the east wall. Victor's cameras do not cover the final 20 feet because the signal drops under the foundation. Cole said, My team can enter there. Roman looked at him. 4 men. No more. Emma pointed toward the old fuel control room at the center of the plans. Victor wants you moving toward this section. Roman followed her finger. What is there? According to the city permits, the warehouse stored refrigerant and marine fuel. The systems were decommissioned years ago. Ben opened another file. The building has been drawing power through a private connection, enough for the camera's climate control and industrial pumps. Roman's eyes narrowed. He rebuilt the system, or part of it, Ben said. Tyler stood near the wall with his wrists secured in front of him. 2 guards remained beside him. He looked at the plans. There is another control panel beneath the west stairs. Victor used it when shipments came through at night. Cole turned toward him. Can you reach it? Tyler swallowed. If the tunnel is still open. Roman studied him. You understand what happens if this is another lie? Tyler nodded. I understand what happens if it is not. Roman looked toward Emma. You stay in the vehicle. She did not argue immediately. That worried him more. The warehouse is wired for cameras and remote systems, she said. Ben needs someone watching the medical feed. Roman frowned. What medical feed? Ben removed a small adhesive sensor from his equipment case. Heart rate, breathing, blood oxygen. Roman stared at him. You want to put a monitor on me? Emma took the sensor. I want to know if you are bleeding somewhere the camera cannot see. I will know. You did not know Cole was hit until he fell. Cole said nothing. Roman looked at Emma. The warehouse timer reached 47 minutes. She stepped closer. You are not invincible because people are afraid to tell you when you are hurt. He held her gaze. Then he opened his shirt collar. Emma attached the sensor beneath his left collarbone. Her fingertips remained against his skin for 1 second longer than necessary. Stay where Ben can see you, she said. Roman buttoned his shirt. That sounds like an order. It is medical advice. I have heard your medical advice before, and you survived it. A faint shadow moved across his mouth. Then it was gone. Roman turned toward Cole. Your team enters after I reach the center of the building. No one moves early. Cole nodded. Roman faced Tyler. You guide them to the second panel. Tyler looked surprised. You trust me? No. Roman opened the door. I trust your fear. Snow covered the waterfront road in a thin white sheet. Roman drove alone. Behind him, the other vehicles stopped beyond the range of Victor's cameras. Cole and his team moved toward the drainage channel on foot. Ben parked the surveillance van between two abandoned storage buildings. Emma sat beside him watching 6 screens. One showed Roman's location. One displayed the building plans. One carried the signal from the sensor beneath Roman's shirt. His heart rate remained steady. Too steady, Emma thought. Roman stopped outside the main loading bay. The warehouse doors opened before he reached them. Victor's voice came through hidden speakers. Right on time. Roman entered. The doors closed behind him. Inside, rows of metal shelving rose toward the ceiling. Crates formed narrow corridors through the darkness. Industrial lights burned above the central aisle, leaving the edges of the warehouse in shadow. Roman walked forward. His footsteps echoed across the concrete. Victor stood beneath the brightest light. He wore no jacket. His sleeves were rolled to the elbows, exposing the black compass tattoo on his forearm. A pistol rested in his right hand. "You came alone," Victor said. Roman stopped 20 feet away. "You expected something else. I expected the woman to convince you that obedience was growth." Roman looked toward the wall of surveillance screens behind him. One showed the guest house. Ruth was visible through a downstairs window reading beside the lamp. Another screen showed Noah's hospital room. A guard sat outside the door. Roman's voice became cold. "You watched my family. I protected your family. You put a knife in my son." Victor's jaw tightened. "I told them not to strike anything vital." Roman moved one step closer. Victor raised the pistol. "That is far enough." Roman stopped. Victor looked at him for several seconds. "You know what hurts most?" Roman said nothing. "I stood beside you when you had nothing but your father's name and 3 men willing to follow it. I built the roots. I paid the officers. I found the judges. I turned your enemies against each other while you stood in public and accepted their fear. You were paid." Victor laughed softly. "Paid." The word sounded obscene in his mouth. "I slept outside Noah's room after Elena died. You loved him. I did." Victor's eyes hardened. "I loved both of you enough to keep the empire alive while you drowned in grief." Roman looked at the compass tattoo. "And then you decided the empire belonged to you. It should have depended on me. It did. No. You depended on me in private. In public, I remained the man behind your shoulder." Roman's voice stayed calm. "That was where you chose to stand." Victor stepped closer. "I chose loyalty. You chose silence and called it loyalty." The word struck him. Emma watched Victor's posture change on the screen. His left shoulder lifted. His grip tightened. She leaned toward the microphone. "Roman, he is losing control." Roman heard her through the concealed earpiece but gave no sign. Victor continued. "After Elena died, you became cautious. You closed profitable routes. You refused expansion. You let Rourke keep territory he could not defend. I kept my son alive. You kept him trapped." Roman's face changed. Victor saw it and smiled. "Yes, even the waitress understood that before you did." He walked toward the surveillance wall. She was easy to read. Roman remained still. Victor touched the screen showing Marino's alley. For weeks, I watched her leave food behind the restaurant for a man who slept beneath the bridge. I watched her cover shifts for women with sick children. I watched her stop a kitchen worker from bleeding through his sleeve. Emma felt her stomach tighten. Victor looked directly toward one of the cameras. "She thinks compassion makes her unpredictable." His gaze seemed to find her through the lens. "It makes her useful." Roman's voice lowered. "You chose her. I chose someone who would not walk away." Victor turned back toward him. "When you gave her your private number, you gave me the perfect messenger. She would find Noah. She would keep him alive. She would call you before the police. You would see Rourke's colors, hear Rourke's name, and do exactly what you have always done. Roman moved another step forward. What is that turn pain into violence? Victor raised the gun again. Roman stopped. Inside the drainage tunnel, Cole's team reached the eastern foundation. Tyler crawled behind them through freezing water, his cuffed hands held against his chest. Ben watched their position appear on the building map. 2 minutes, he whispered. Emma kept her eyes on Roman. His heart rate had increased, not from fear, from rage. "Do not let him choose for you," she said into the microphone. Victor tilted his head. "Is she speaking now?" Roman did not answer. Victor smiled. "She believes she changed you. She reminded me I had choices. No. She made you weak enough to hesitate." Roman looked at him. "You mistook restraint for weakness once before." Victor's expression darkened. He pointed toward a steel door behind Roman. "The original records are inside. Every payment, every officer, every account. Everything needed to destroy the people who stood with us." Roman turned his head slightly. "Open it," Victor said. In the surveillance van, Emma studied the camera nearest the steel door. Something looked wrong. 3 oxygen masks hung from hooks beside the frame. There were no masks anywhere else in the warehouse. She switched to another camera. A thin white line of frost had formed around a pipe above the control room. Ben pulled the old fuel permits. He opened the file. Emma scanned the diagram. The pipe connected to the refrigerant system beneath the building. Her pulse quickened. "Roman, do not touch that door." Victor's eyes moved toward the camera. Roman's hand stopped inches from the steel handle. Emma spoke quickly. "The room is sealed. There is gas in the line. The masks are there for whoever sets it up." Roman looked toward the frost. Victor pressed a button in his hand. The steel door opened by itself. Cold vapor rolled across the floor. Roman stepped back. Victor's face changed. He pressed the button again. Nothing happened. Ben smiled without humor. "I blocked the remote signal." Victor fired toward the camera. The screen went black. The warehouse lights died. Emma heard the first gunshot through Roman's microphone. Then another. The heart monitor jumped. Roman. No answer. Cole's team entered through the east tunnel. Gunfire flashed between the shelves. Roman moved through the darkness using the crates for cover. Victor knew the building, but Roman knew Victor. He knew the slight pause before Victor fired. He knew Victor favored his left leg after an old injury. He knew the man aimed high when angry. Roman crossed between 2 rows of equipment as a bullet struck the metal behind him. He fired once. Victor disappeared into the shadows. Cole reached the lower control panel with Tyler. A guard emerged from behind the stairs. Tyler threw himself into the man before he could shoot Cole. Both men crashed against the railing. The guard raised his weapon. Tyler trapped the man's wrist against the floor. Cole fired. The guard went still. Tyler rolled away, breathing hard. Cole looked at him. "You could have run." Tyler stared toward the dark corridor. "My sister still thinks I am worth saving." Cole pulled him to his feet. "Then stay alive long enough to prove her right." At the center of the warehouse, Roman heard Victor behind him. He turned too late. Victor struck him across the shoulder with the pistol. Roman hit the concrete. Victor kicked the weapon from his hand. "You were always slower on the left," Victor said. Roman pushed himself up. Victor fired. The bullet tore through Roman's shoulder. In the van, the heart monitor spiked. Emma gripped the microphone. "Roman, answer me." A breath came through the speaker. "Ragged. I am here. Where are you hit shoulder? Can you move your fingers?" Roman flexed his hand. "Yes. Keep pressure against the wound. Do not let your arm hang." Victor's voice came through the microphone. "She is still trying to save you." Roman rose slowly. "That bothers you." Victor stepped from the darkness. "What bothers me is that you listen." He fired again. Roman moved behind a support column. The bullet struck concrete. Emma watched Roman's oxygen level remain steady. "You can still breathe," she said. The bullet did not enter the chest. Roman pressed one hand against the wound. Victor approached. "You taught me how to survive," Roman said. Victor stopped. Roman looked at him from behind the column. "But you never learned when to stop proving you were necessary." Victor rushed him. They collided beneath the hanging lights. The fight was brutal and close. Victor knew every injury Roman carried. He struck the damaged shoulder, the old scar beneath his ribs, the knee weakened years earlier. Roman knew Victor's habits too. He allowed Victor to drive him toward the control room. Victor believed he was winning. At the final moment, Roman shifted his weight and used Victor's damaged leg against him. Victor fell. Roman struck the gun from his hand. It slid across the concrete. Roman drove him to the floor. Cole's team entered the central aisle as the emergency lights returned. Victor lay beneath Roman, blood running from his mouth. Roman retrieved the pistol. He pressed the barrel against Victor's forehead. No one moved. Victor looked up at him and smiled. "There you are." Roman's fingers settled against the trigger. Victor's voice softened. "The man I built." Roman saw Noah in the snow. He saw Elena's empty seat at the winter concert. He saw Emma's blood-stained hands holding pressure against his son's wound. Victor whispered, "Do it." Emma heard every word. She closed her eyes for 1 second, then spoke. "Roman." His hand remained steady. She did not tell him to forgive Victor. She did not tell him to become a better man. "Whatever you do now has to be your choice," she said. "Not his, not mine, yours." Roman looked down at the compass tattoo on Victor's arm. For 20 years, Victor had guided roads, money, weapons, and men. Now every road had led to this floor. Roman lowered the gun. Victor's smile disappeared. "You wanted to become necessary," Roman said. "Now you will become evidence." Cole secured Victor's hands. Ben restored the external signal. Federal vehicles entered the waterfront road with their lights dark. Roman's attorney had already delivered the first files from Victor's shell companies to the task force investigating illegal weapons and corrupt officials. Victor looked toward Roman as agents entered the warehouse. "You think this ends because you spared me?" Roman pressed his hand against his bleeding shoulder. "No." He looked toward the evidence crates. "It ends because you no longer decide what I become." Hours later, Roman returned to the estate with his arm bandaged beneath a clean shirt. Noah waited in the library. He stood when Roman entered, then looked at the bandage. "Are you hurt? I will recover." Noah searched his father's face. "Did you kill him?" Roman sat across from him. "No." Relief broke through Noah's expression so quickly that Roman almost looked away. "Because Emma stopped you?" Roman glanced toward the doorway. Emma stood there beside Ruth. "No," Roman said. "She reminded me I still had a choice." Noah's eyes filled. Roman rose and moved toward him. Then he stopped. "Can I hold you?" Noah nodded. Roman wrapped his good arm around his son. Noah held him tightly. For once, Roman did not try to control the fear, silence it, or command it to leave. He simply stayed. Roman simply stayed. Noah held him until the strength left his arms. Then Roman eased him back onto the couch, careful not to disturb the bandage beneath his shirt. For several minutes, no one spoke. Snow pressed against the library windows while guards moved quietly through the house. Noah wiped his face. "Is Victor going to prison?" "Yes." "Can he still hurt us?" Roman almost answered with certainty. The words stopped before they reached his mouth. "He cannot reach you from where he is going." Noah looked down. "You said nobody could reach me before." Roman felt the accusation beneath his ribs. "You are right." Noah looked up, surprised. "I believed the walls were enough. I was wrong. What happens now?" Roman rested his good hand on his knee. "I do not know." It was the first answer Noah had heard from his father that did not arrive as an order. Before dawn, Noah woke screaming. Roman reached his room first and found him on the floor between the dresser and the wall. His hands covered his face. Sweat soaked his shirt. Roman stopped in the doorway. Every instinct told him to cross the room and lift his son. Emma appeared behind him. "Ask what he needs," she whispered. Roman lowered himself to the floor several feet away. "Noah, you are home. The lamp is beside you. Your books are on the desk. It is snowing outside." The boy's breathing remained fast. "What do you need?" Roman asked. "I do not know." "That is all right." Roman waited. At last, Noah lowered his hands. "Come closer." Roman crossed the distance slowly. When he opened his arms, Noah moved into them. The nightmares continued. Some nights Noah believed he was trapped inside the van. Other nights he sat in the kitchen with every light on, listening for engines beyond the gates. Roman responded by adding guards. Noah noticed before breakfast. "You said things would change." "They are changing. You put more guns outside my window." Roman felt the old refusal forming. He looked at Emma. She said nothing. He turned back to Noah. "What would make you feel safer?" Noah stared at him. Roman tried again. "Not what should make you feel safer. What would I want to meet the guards? I want to choose who comes with me. And nobody stands outside my bedroom." Roman placed his coffee down. "The nearest guard stays by the stairs." Noah considered it. "Fine." The change was small enough that no one else would have noticed. Emma did. 3 days later, Roman took Noah to Aaron Blake's funeral. The church was crowded with security officers, freight workers, and men who had known Aaron before he worked for the DeLuca family. His widow sat in the front row with 2 young daughters. When the service ended, Noah stood frozen near the doors. "He died because of me." Roman turned toward him. "No, he was in the car because of me. I kept arguing. I wanted to get away from you." Roman absorbed the words without defending himself. They walked through the snow to Aaron's grave. For years, Roman had believed apologies weakened authority. Now he understood that Noah had lived beneath decisions Roman never named. "I made freedom feel like something you had to steal," Roman said. Noah looked at him. "I built walls because I was afraid of losing you. I called every order protection because that was easier than admitting I was terrified." His voice lowered. "I did not notice you could no longer breathe inside my love. I am sorry." The words appeared to cost him more than blood. Noah waited before answering. "I need you to prove you mean it." Roman nodded. "I will." Noah did not forgive him there. Roman did not ask him to. The investigation into Victor's network spread across Philadelphia. Federal agents seized records from warehouses, shipping offices, private clubs, and homes owned through false companies. Officers who had accepted Victor's money began turning against one another. Judges denied knowing the names listed beside payments. Roman's attorneys tried to separate Victor's operation from the businesses Roman controlled. The separation was not clean. Roman had known where some money came from. He had approved men whose methods he chose not to examine. Victor's betrayal did not erase the world they had built together. Cole found Roman in the study with old route maps spread across the desk. "The captains are waiting to know who replaces Victor," Cole said. "No one. Someone has to control transportation and security. No one person controls both again." Roman showed him the new structure. The weapons routes Victor had expanded would close. Several freight companies would accept outside audits. The security division would be separated from the gambling operation. Every guard assigned to Noah would report through 2 supervisors. "This will cost us," Cole said. "Yes. Some men will leave. Let them. And the ones who stay, they will learn the difference between loyalty and silence." Cole glanced through the window where Emma walked beside Ruth in the snow-covered garden. "You sound like her." Roman followed his gaze. "No. I sound like a man who finally listened." Dominic Rourke arrived 1 week later. He met Roman in the winter garden and studied the bandage beneath his collar. "The city thinks sparing Victor made you merciful. The city confuses mercy with lack of consequence. You surrendered Roots. I closed Roots Victor poisoned." Dominic poured himself a drink. "You believe you can wash blood from an empire 1 company at a time?" Roman met his gaze. "No." The honesty removed the smile from Dominic's face. "But I can stop adding to it," Roman said. "If the others believe you are weak, they will test you. Then they can misunderstand me once." Dominic placed the glass down. "The port stays neutral. My people remain south. Yours remain north, and no one touches the families." Dominic offered his hand. Roman accepted. The truce did not make them friends. It made the city quieter. Emma and Ruth remained in the guest house while federal agents evaluated the remaining threats. Ruth's strength returned slowly. Some mornings she walked through the garden with a cane. On others, she could not leave the bed. Roman arranged for a specialist to review her treatment without asking Emma. She found the appointment letter in the kitchen. "You called another doctor. I requested a review. You did not ask. The physician is one of the best in the country. That does not answer me." Roman removed his coat. "What would you have said? I might have said yes. Then the result is the same." "No, the result is the same for you." He went silent. Emma placed the letter on the table. "You keep changing the way you give orders. You have not stopped giving them. I was trying to help. I know. I can pay for every medication and every class you left." "I know. Then tell me what you want." It was the first time he had asked before offering another solution. "My mother applied to the hospital assistance program. The waiting list is months long. Donate to the program. Do not move her name. She may not receive a place. That is her decision to risk, and your tuition. There are scholarships for returning students. I can pay the school." "No." "Why?" "Because I need to know the life I build belongs to me." Roman stepped closer. "What place do I have in it, the place I choose to give you?" The answer hurt him. Emma saw it. Still he nodded. "Tell me where to send the donation." 2 months later, the assistance program expanded enough to fund medication for 20 patients. Ruth was accepted after an independent committee reviewed her case. Emma read the approval letter twice. "Did he arrange it?" Ruth asked. "No." "I checked." Ruth smiled. That must have been painful for him. From the doorway, Roman said, "It was." He held a paper bag from Ruth's favorite bakery. Ruth lifted one eyebrow. "Did you ask before bringing those?" Roman looked at Emma. "I did." "Progress," Ruth said. Emma returned to Marino's 3 evenings each week. For days she avoided the alley. Then one afternoon she stood beneath the fire escape where she had found Noah. The snow was gone. Rainwater moved through the gutter. Someone had painted over the bloodstain on the wall. Emma remained until her breathing slowed. Martin Marino offered her a supervisor position after losing 2 managers during the investigation. She read the contract in his office. The schedule changes every week. That is restaurant work. It does not have to be. Emma requested predictable shifts, paid sick time emergency training, and flexible hours for employees caring for sick relatives. Martin laughed at the paid sick time. Emma closed the contract and stood. He stopped laughing. They negotiated for 2 hours. She accepted the position the following Monday and enrolled in an evening nursing course. On the first night, Roman waited outside her apartment in a black car. Emma looked through the window. "How many guards, too?" She stared at him. "One," he corrected. Emma entered the car. At the campus entrance, Roman reached for her bag. She kept hold of it. "I can carry my books." "I know." He released the strap. "Would you like me to come inside?" "No." "Would you like me to wait?" "No." A pause. "Would you like me to pick you up?" Emma considered him. Yes. It was only a ride. It felt like trust. Roman did not ask Emma to move into the estate. Instead, he began appearing in the ordinary spaces of her life. He met her after class at a diner where the coffee was weak and the seats were cracked. He carried Ruth's grocery bags only after Ruth handed them to him. He sat at the counter in Marino's while Emma finished closing reports, ignoring the customers who recognized him and whispered. One evening, they walked beside the river without guards close enough to hear them. Roman asked, "Do you want advice or do you want me to listen?" Emma looked at him with open suspicion. "Who taught you that question, Noah's therapist? That explains why it sounds expensive." Roman almost smiled. Emma told him about an instructor who believed she had been away from nursing too long. Roman listened without calling the school, threatening the instructor, or offering to buy anything. When she finished, he said, "He is wrong. That was advice. It was an observation." She stopped beneath a street lamp. "You are improving slowly. I have never needed patience before. You needed it. People were too frightened to tell you." Roman looked toward the water. "I know how to make people stay." Emma's expression softened, but she did not rescue him from the truth. "That is not the same as being chosen." "No." He turned toward her. "I want to learn the difference." Emma took his hand. Sometimes she allowed Roman to drive her home. Sometimes she chose to walk alone. The first few times she refused him, he watched her leave as though every step offended his instincts. He never sent a car behind her. That mattered more than any promise. Noah began therapy with a doctor he selected himself. After the third session, he refused to return. Roman found him in the estate garage, sitting inside a security vehicle with the doors open. His hands were locked around the edge of the seat. Roman remained outside. "Do you want me to call the doctor?" "No." "Do you want me to leave?" Noah shook his head. After several minutes, he said, "I hate that everyone knows I am scared." Roman looked at the dark interior. "I am scared every day." Noah glanced at him. "You do not look scared. I have had more practice hiding it. The doctor wants me to sit in a car with the doors closed. You do not have to do it today. She says avoiding it makes it worse." Roman nodded. "What do you want?" "I want you in the front seat." Roman climbed into the passenger seat. Noah sat behind him. He pulled the door halfway closed, then opened it again. On the fourth attempt, he shut it completely. His breathing changed. Roman placed both hands where Noah could see them. "You control the lock." Noah pressed the button. 5 seconds passed, then 10. He unlocked the doors. Neither of them called it a victory. They returned the following day. By spring, Noah went back to school. 2 guards waited outside rather than following him through the halls. He chose both after meeting them himself. During the first week, he called Roman before lunch and asked to come home. Roman sent the car. The second week, Noah stayed until the final bell. Months later, he attended a basketball game with 2 friends. Roman watched from a private box. Cole stood near the door. Emma sat beside Roman with a container of popcorn. Noah left his seat and disappeared into the crowd. Roman leaned forward. "Cole." Emma touched his wrist. Roman stopped. 1 minute passed, then 2. Noah returned carrying drinks, laughing with his friends. Roman leaned back. "You did not send anyone," Emma said. "No." "How did that feel?" "Terrible." She smiled. "Honest." That summer, Noah began working weekend shifts at Marino's. Roman objected to the public entrance and late hours. Then he stopped. "What shifts did you agree to?" he asked. "Saturday lunch and Sunday afternoon. Cole will drive you. He can sit at the bar, near the door." At the bar. Roman considered it. At the bar. Noah smiled because he noticed the difference. Victor's hearing took place in early autumn. Emma attended with Roman, Noah, and Cole. Victor entered the courtroom in restraints thinner than before, but still searching faces for weakness. The charges included kidnapping, conspiracy weapons, trafficking, murder, attempted murder, and bribery. Tyler testified from a protected location. His cooperation reduced several charges, but did not erase his responsibility. Kayla remained in treatment, where recovery came in uncertain weeks rather than miracles. Victor found Roman in the gallery. He expected rage. Roman gave him nothing. No threat, no triumph, no grief. For the first time in 20 years, Victor could not control what appeared on Roman's face. The guards led him away. Outside the courthouse, Noah released a breath. "Is it over?" Roman looked at the city moving around them. "No." Noah waited. Roman placed a hand lightly against his shoulder. "But it belongs to us now." The first anniversary of the attack arrived with snow. Marino's closed early because of the weather. Emma checked the kitchen, turned off the dining room lights, and entered the rear hallway. Noah waited beside the staff door, wearing his restaurant apron over a dark sweater. "You are supposed to be cleaning the bar," Emma said. "I finished." "That sentence has never been true in a restaurant." He held out a small wooden box. "Open it." Inside lay a silver compass pendant. Emma turned it over. A sentence had been engraved on the back. "You found me when everyone else lost the way." Her throat tightened. "Noah, the men wearing the compass were supposed to protect me," he said. "They knew the routes and codes and all the things that could go wrong." He looked toward the alley door. "But you saw me." Emma closed her fingers around the pendant. Noah attempted a smile. "You should put it on before I regret being emotional." She laughed through her tears and fastened the chain around her neck. When they stepped outside, Roman stood beneath the fire escape. Snow moved through the alley in slow white circles. For an instant, Emma saw the blood again. Noah on the pavement. Roman dropping to his knees, the black compass in the boy's hand. Then Noah walked past them toward the waiting car. Roman's body tightened. The old command nearly reached his mouth. "Stay close." He stopped himself. Cole stood near the street. The alley was clear. Noah was safe enough to take several steps alone. Roman looked at Emma. "Will you come home with us?" She raised an eyebrow. "Your home?" Roman glanced toward Noah. "With us. Wherever you decide home is." Emma studied him beneath the falling snow. 1 year earlier, Roman had believed love meant closing every exit. Now he stood before her without blocking one. "I am not promising to become easy to protect," she said. "I am beginning to understand that you are not something to protect." "What am I?" Then Roman stepped closer, but left enough space for her to choose the distance. "My choice," he said, "provided I remain yours." Emma touched the compass at her throat. Then she closed the space and kissed him. From the street, Noah groaned. "Some of us are freezing." Emma pulled back. Roman looked toward his son. "Get in the car." Noah smiled. That sounded like an order. Roman considered him. "Would you please get in the car?" That sounded painful. It was. Noah laughed and continued toward the vehicle. This time Roman let him walk ahead. Emma slipped her hand into Roman's. Together they followed. Not because Roman controlled the distance. Not because Emma owed him her future. Not because Noah had stopped being afraid. They followed because the road belonged to all three of them now, and each had chosen the same direction. Home.